Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a super easy everyday makeup routine that's perfect for summer. I know depending on where you live, your summer makeup routine might differ from mine. I live in a very dry climate, so honestly, my makeup tends to wear about the same all year round. It does get a little bit hotter, but it's nothing too crazy. So I will kind of mention a couple of tips and tricks if you live in a super humid climate that maybe I would suggest doing, but overall, this should work in most climates. It's hard to know sometimes like what to reach for during the summer months because the weather really does change how your makeup wears. So I'm going to be teaching you some of my tips, and also I've done this before in the past where when I do an everyday kind of a tutorial, I will recommend both drugstore and high-end options per category just so that you can get a similar effect at either price point. This isn't necessarily about the product specifically, although I will have recommendations or things that I'm personally into, but I wanted to give you guys options depending on what you're wanting to spend if you're looking for something to add to your summer makeup routine. So let's just get right into it. I actually already applied sunscreen off camera. I wanted to give it a minute to sink into the skin before going into my actual makeup routine. Here are a couple of the products that I would recommend. So this is the one that I put all over the face. This is the Supergoop Zinc Screen Sunscreen. It's a mineral lotion. I tend to reach for mineral lotions for my acne prone skin. I like this one because it doesn't leave a white cast on my face and it dries down a little bit more matte than some of my other mineral foundations. So if I were to want to go outside or I knew I was going to have to wear my makeup all day long and it's hotter, I tend to reach for this one. This is one of my go-to summer sunscreens. If you want something a little bit more affordable, I would recommend this right here. This is the Australian Gold Mineral Lotion. This is also one that kind of has a little bit of a powdery finish when it dries down, but not in like a drying way. So it's also very good for the hot months. And then if you want something in between as far as price goes, and also something that's not as mattifying if you have more dry skin, I would recommend this right here. This is from Kinship. It's the Self-Reflect Probiotic Moisturizing Sunscreen. So those are my sunscreen recommendations. Again, I'm wearing the Supergoop one, so let's go into primer. I tend to reach for more hydrating primers in the summer months because I've actually noticed with my skin specifically, if I go overboard on mattifying products, my skin just overproduces oils and it makes my skin more greasy than it would have been had I left it alone or used something hydrating. So I'm going to opt for a hydrating primer for this tutorial. Here are two that I feel like are similar. I'm going to be using this one right here because it's newer to my collection and I'm really excited about it. This is the Dominique Cosmetics and JD Wadey 180 Ultra Hydrating Complexion Primer. Again, this is new to my collection, but this one right here is not. This is something I've used for a long time. It's the Maybelline Master Prime Hydrate and Smooth Primer. So either of those will do a similar thing and will give a similar effect. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit of this hydrating primer all over the skin, just using my fingers. And that's actually why I let my sunscreen sink into the skin before applying this, because this is a hydrating primer. I wanted my sunscreen to have a chance to really set in before going in with something a little bit more dewy. I'm just going to let that sink in a little bit. I'm trying not to move around the sunscreen too much. So I'm going to let that dry just a little bit before going in with my foundation. So for foundation, I personally have actually been reaching for lighter coverage foundations. I used to actually go the more full coverage route. Part of this is because my skin has improved quite a bit, but I feel like there's two ways to do summer makeup. One is to wear super mattifying products and kind of do layers of those products to really help it last all day. And then the other way to do summer makeup is to do a more light coverage situation so that if it does melt off, it's not going to look weird. There's not going to be like a complete differentiation between the foundation on top of your skin and then your skin underneath, if that makes sense. So I have been opting for something a little bit more light coverage recently. Two of my favorites from the drugstore are the Honest Beauty CC Clean Corrective Tinted Moisturizer and then also the NYX Bear With Me Tinted Skin Veil. Both of these offer a really nice coverage. I would say the NYX one has more coverage, but it still feels really lightweight and it wears really well. It also wears off really well. This one has a little bit more of a lighter coverage, so if you're looking for something like that, this one might be a good one. I've been really enjoying both. And then more recently, as of a few days ago, I have been trying out the Uoma Beauty Say What Weightless Soft Matte Hydrating Foundation. This is a beautiful formula. I've worn it for a couple days now and it wears so nicely on my skin. I love the finish. My skin just looks healthy and it doesn't settle into fine lines. I've really been loving this. And this is also another new product to me. I was recently sent this from Kevin Aquan. and it's the Stripped Nude Skin Tint. So I wear mine in the shade Light ST02. Both of these are great lighter weight products. I think this one offers a little bit more coverage. This one does offer pretty good coverage. But yeah, those are all kind of similar as far as the effect that they give to the skin, and I have been really enjoying all 4 of those. So I'm actually going to be wearing this right here. I'm just excited about it. So I'm going to do 2 pumps on the back of my hand. It is a little bit of a thinner formula, so 2 pumps is usually plenty. I feel like I might have even been able to get away with 1 pump, but that's okay. I'm just gonna start to distribute this all over the skin. I took just a little bit of what was on the back of my hand. I didn't take all of it. And I'm just kind of buffing this, starting on the cheek area because that's where I need the most coverage, and then moving toward the center of the face. I feel like that really helps me as far as the longevity goes and as far as the makeup wears on my skin to apply most of the coverage on the outside of the face. I've heard both ways. Like I've heard people say to apply it on the middle and blend it out to make it look more natural. For me, I get oily in the T-zone, so the less product I have in the T-zone, the better it actually looks throughout the day as it starts to kind of wear off, or if it does wear off. So I'm not applying as much in the center of the face. I'm just kind of taking what's left on the brush and buffing it inward. I do want to make sure to bring it down the neck a little bit, especially since I'm wearing my hair up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to take my damp beauty blender. I'm going to take what's left on the back of my hand and I'm just going to start to press this into the skin, just for the most natural finish possible. If you don't feel like you need to even out your skin that much, you could obviously use something that has less coverage than what I used, or just use less of it and kind of just thin it out in a sheer layer all over the skin, and that'll help with the longevity of it as well. So for concealer, I personally reach for something that's actually a little bit more long wearing and heavy duty. When it comes to concealer, I don't really want that slipping and sliding all over my face. However, I also am careful with the amount that I apply. So a good drugstore option for this type of formula is this one right here. It's the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer. And then I have my trusty Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Concealer. I'm going to use the CoverGirl one today, and I'm going to show you that you really don't need much at all. I'm just going to do literally that much. And normally I blend it out with a brush, but to try to keep things a little bit more lightweight under the eyes, I am going to go in with a sponge. And I'm going in right away because this concealer does dry down pretty quickly. So with this formula, I've learned that I need to work in sections. So I'm just going to blend that out, and as you can see, it just brightens up the eye area, but it doesn't feel heavy underneath the eye area. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing on this eye, just a tiny bit of concealer. And I'm going to take my time pressing this underneath the eye to make sure that all the excess product gets lifted up and that I have a nice seamless finish underneath the eyes too. For a hotter day, I honestly skip doing the whole T-zone brightening type of thing. I don't feel like that really helps. And normally I go in with just a little bit around the nose. Maybe I'll take just a tiny bit, but this is where I tend to crease the most. So I'm not gonna go in too heavy with a concealer in this area, but I do want a little bit of brightness right there. So I'm just gonna put a tiny bit around the sides of the nose. And then I do have a couple lovely blemishes that I do want covered. Normally I would use a darker shade. I forgot to grab another shade of this concealer, so this one will just have to work. Hopefully it's not too light for my blemishes. I'm just gonna go ahead and blend all of those out. All right, so now I'm gonna take a little bit of translucent powder. My favorite from the drugstore is from Wet n Wild. It's the Photo Focus translucent powder, and then a more high-end version that I also love is the Thrive Cosmetics Soft Focus HD Setting Powder. This one's really soft and it's a little bit more hydrating. It has hyaluronic acid in it, so if you want something that's gonna set your makeup but not look dry at all, I would recommend this one. This one right here is kind of more of like a universal setting powder that's going to set your makeup pretty properly, so it's not gonna be too hydrating or anything. And I'm actually gonna take this and dip my sponge into it. I don't do this often, but I started to do it over the past few days again after watching one of Stephanie Marie's videos here on YouTube. I'll have it linked down below. She actually did a video where she shared some of her makeup tips, and this was one of them, was to use a sponge while setting the under eye area. And I used to do this all the time, but I just don't really anymore. So I wanted to try it out again a couple days ago, and I did, and it just really does make your makeup last a really long time, but it also gives you a beautiful, flawless finish. You don't have any sort of powdery finish at all. So I'm just taking this and setting the entire face. And for me, I'm focusing it on the T-zone, since that's where I tend to get the most oily. And then I am going to use a brush on the outer portions, because I am going to use a powder bronzer today, but I don't really want the cheek area to be too matte. So I'm just lightly dusting a bit of powder on the rest of the face. Okay, moving on to bronzer. I love a good matte powder bronzer when it comes to a summer makeup look. You guys probably know that I have been dabbling in cream bronzers recently. I love my Bare Minerals one, but for more of a long-lasting look, I always reach for powders, or I'll layer the two, but using two bronzers for an everyday kind of a situation isn't as practical, so I decided to just opt for the powder. One of my current favorite high-end bronzers is actually this one right here. It's a new NARS bronzer. This is one of their matte bronzers called Vallarta. And then a drugstore version that is so good, you guys, is this one right here from Milani. This is the Silky Matte Bronzing Powder in the shade Sunlight. So either one's gonna give you the same effect. I love both. I'm gonna use the NARS one today, just because I feel like I've shown you the Milani one quite a few times, and this one's a little bit newer to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and start applying this along the hairline and also along the cheeks. Well, I tried to put a little bit down the sides of my nose, and I don't think I set this side very well, so it streaked a little bit. Dang it. I'm trying to fix it with my sponge, but I don't think it's gonna work. I might have to use a little bit of foundation brush to kind of press a little more color. That seemed to help a little bit, but it's not gonna be perfect. Oh well, things happen, you get the idea. I'm gonna go ahead and apply this along the jawline and also down the neck too. And then I'm just gonna lightly take the brush we used with the powder on the outside of the face and just gently buff that out. Okay, so for blush, if you're somebody who doesn't really use powder and you want to use something that's cream for more of a fresh look, you could use something like this right here. This is the Honest Beauty Peony Pink Cream Cheek Blush, or I've also been loving the Fenty Beauty Cream blushes, and this one's a pretty similar shade. This one's called Petal Poppin'. Here's the two next to each other so you can get an idea of what they look like. They're not necessarily exact dupes. This one has a little bit more of a sheen to it, but you would get the same effect. So that's a cream option. I'll have them linked down below if you prefer cream blushes, but I wanted to use a powder blush, so I have two options. One of them is from Lawless. I really wanted to try out this shade right here. This is one of their new Make Me Blush blushes in the shade Sakura, which is a really pretty bright pink. And then I love the Revlon blushes, and this one right here is called Rose Bomb. So if you wanted that same bright pink effect, that might be a good one. Again, these aren't exact dupes for each other necessarily, but you would achieve the same kind of a look. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use the Lawless brush. They actually sent this to me and I forgot to use it in my last video where I tried out these blushes. So I'm gonna use it in this video. I'm gonna go ahead and dip into the blush, and I'm gonna just smile and apply that to the apples of the cheeks, sweeping upward. Ooh, yes, this is exactly what I had in mind for a summer blush for my skin tone. I've just been really into bright pinks. I don't know. Typically for an everyday look these days, I've been using blush as kind of the focal point. I've recently been into one of the orange shades in the Fenty Beauty Cream formula. I did a tutorial with that recently, so I'll have that linked down below if you guys want to see that. But yeah, I've been having fun with blushes these days. I think it makes the complexion look so healthy. I've always been into blush, but I've just been gravitating towards more bright blush looks right now during the summertime. I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the brows. You could just use your favorite brow products for this portion, but I will recommend some to you anyway. This drugstore one is from Maybelline. It's the Brow Ultra Slim Pencil, and then I also love the Thrive Cosmetics Infinity Waterproof Eyebrow Liner. I'm gonna use the Maybelline one today, and I'm just gonna quickly fill in the brows. Okay, while we're here, I'm actually gonna finish up the complexion and then we'll do a quick eye look. So I love to use highlighters that are a little bit more glossy. Sometimes I'll also layer a powder highlight with something a little bit more dewy or like a clear balm sort of a formula on the very high points. I just think it looks so beautiful in the summer. But for today, I have two options that work really well over powders or over creams, obviously. The more affordable version is the ColourPop Super Shock Highlighter in the shade Lunch Money. And then if you're wanting to splurge on something like this Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Beauty Light Wand is stunning. I love it. I'm actually gonna use the ColourPop one today, and I usually like to apply it with my sponge. So I'm just gonna dip directly into the pan with this. And I'm gonna kind of make sure that it's pressed into the sponge by rolling it on my hand first. And then I'm going to gently start to build this up on the cheeks. I don't wanna like swipe or press too hard because I do have powder products underneath. And when you take your time and you're just gentle layering this formula up, it never breaks up the powders underneath it. At least I've never experienced that myself. This is one of my favorite highlighter formulas, and it kind of gives the skin that lit from within glossy look, but I set the whole face already with powder. So it's just gonna add a little bit of that glow back into the skin as if you didn't set the face. I always like to bring a little bit on the front of the cheeks, and I'm gonna take a bit down the center of the nose as well, and then some on the Cupid's bow, and a little bit above the brow, just like that. So for eyes, I'm really gonna just stick to what I genuinely do in the summertime, which is to just throw a little bit of bronzer into the crease. So I'm gonna use that same exact NARS bronzer that I have on my face. I'm just gonna buff that through the crease. I'm gonna take a little of what's left on the brush and just pinch the brush and run it kind of close to the lower lash line, just for a tiny bit of definition there. I'm also gonna dip into the blush that I was using from Lawless, and I'm just gonna add this on kind of the outer portions of the eyelid just to tie in that same pink tone. This next part is optional. Sometimes I'll go in with a lighter toned matte eyeshadow and kind of create a more matte look. Today I wanted to use something glittery. I wanted to use my Elf and J. Kissa Suki to My Heart glitter duo, and I'm gonna use this side right here. I've been obsessed with this. It's called What a Pity Smile. And I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this with the applicator all over the eyelid. Again, if glitter is not your thing for every day, you can totally just use a matte eyeshadow to kind of lighten up this area. But I love glitter. I will wear glitter on a daily basis, and I think it's fun in the summer too, when you keep the skin kind of looking fresh and then you have a little bit of glitter on the eyes. Especially if it's something like this that just kind of gives your lids almost a glossy effect. It's not too overpowering, it's not too glam, but it's just something extra and something special that when the sunlight hits you, it's gonna look really, really pretty. Now, because I do have slightly hooded eyelids, I'm gonna take my fan and close my eyes and let the glitter dry before I open up my eyes. That will prevent as much creasing as possible, since this is a more like liquid formula. Okay, I absolutely love how that eye look turned out. It's so simple, but so pretty. For mascara, honestly, in the summertime, my go-to is the Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. This doesn't budge or flake or smudge or come off weird if I sweat, or even if you get completely soaked. It's so easy to remove them. Almost peel off the mascara in little bunches when your lashes get wet, so it's super easy and convenient during the summertime. But I also love the Bambi Eye Mascara. Now, this one is not necessarily one that I would say, you know, is the most sweat-proof or anything like that, but I'm gonna wear it today because I really like the feathery effect that this gives. So I wear this one more for the effect, but if you're looking for a mascara that's like gonna hold up in the summer heat, this is the one I would recommend. I just felt like this Maybelline mascara would be pretty with this eye look for more of like a soft lash effect. Okay, so I just wiped off any foundation that was left on the lips. We're gonna move into lip products. So I have a couple options that I feel like are so great for summer, and honestly, lip products are a lot of the time what I base my whole summer look around. I've been really into wearing more bright colors on the lips. If I feel like making a statement, I'll basically do something like this and then do a pop of color. So really you can wear anything with this type of a makeup look, but for every day, I have specific formulas that I definitely reach for. You guys know I've been into these Fenty Beauty Slip Shine Sheer lipsticks. They're amazing for summer. I especially have been loving the shade Glazed. It's just like a good neutral, but they have beautiful pops of color if you're into that. Something that's a little bit similar to that formula, but it's drugstore or more affordable, are these right here from ColourPop. These are their Just a Tint lip crayons. They come in so many different shades, so there's definitely going to be some that inspire you for summer. On the more like juicy lip balm spectrum, I love these products right here from Bobbi Brown. These are their crushed oil infused glosses. They're so pretty. These ones are fun for summer, I feel like. This shade right here is called Wild Card, and this one is called Love Letter. By the way, I'll have all the shades that I'm kind of holding up linked down below, but keep in mind you can just like look at the formula and see what color you think you would wear most. And then these are brand new from Milani, and I'm already obsessed. So they have so many shades. I have all the shades actually in front of me, but these are the new Fruit Fetish lip balms, and I think they're perfect for summer. So I actually think I might wear one of these. I think I want to try out this one right here. This is the Dragon Fruit Peach lip balm, and this one has a little pink tint, but nothing major. They taste so good. Not that you should eat them, but I mean, it's on the lips. You can definitely taste it when you apply it. Oh my gosh. I think that's gorgeous. And honestly, if I'm not doing like a bolder lip color, I usually just skip a lip liner altogether. That's why I like these types of products that you can just swipe on the lips. You can carry it in your purse. You can reapply throughout the day as well, and it's gonna keep your lips hydrated. It also feels really nice and it's not too sticky. So if you do have to wear a mask if you go out, it's really easy to just kind of blot down if you feel like it's gonna stick to your mask, or it'll keep your lips nice and hydrated while you're wearing a mask. I know that's been a question recently. I see a lot of people asking me what kind of makeup I would recommend for wearing a mask, since most of us do wear masks every single day. And honestly, you guys, for me, If I don't have to wear makeup, I won't. If I am wearing makeup, I just try to be gentle when I put it on, but honestly, I don't have to wear a mask all day because I work from home. So that's a really hard situation. If you guys wear makeup and you have to wear masks all day for work and you've figured out some tips and tricks, leave them in the comments down below so we can all help each other out with that. But usually, I just try to avoid makeup altogether. It's just too much of a hassle and it all just ends up rubbing off, you know? All right, let's step back and assess the situation and add a little more bronzer. This is a summer makeup routine after all, even though I am very fair. Because it's been quarantine summer. So I want it to look like I kind of go outside. I'm so into these Milani balms. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and set the face, and I'm actually gonna use something a little bit more hydrating. Even though we've used powders, I feel like it's always a dead giveaway when you're in natural light or in daylight, when you can see the powder on your skin, you know? So I wanted to use a more hydrating setting spray. I love both of these. I've just barely purchased this and just barely tried them, but I'm really enjoying it. But you guys know how much I love this ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Mist. So beautiful. I love it. It's so hydrating and the mist is really, really nice. I've been also reaching for this over the past couple of days, and this is what I'm going to use again after trying it out in my last video. If you didn't see that video, I will have it linked down below. I tried some amazing new makeup and this was one of the products. So I'm going to go ahead and use this all over, and then I'm going to mist this on the face. I'm going to focus it on the outer portions because I don't get oily there, but I am going to put a little bit in the T-zone. I'm going to take my handy fan. If you feel like you get pretty oily all over the skin, you could definitely skip the hydrating mist and go in with something like the Urban Decay All Nighter or the Milani Make It Last Setting Spray. Those would work really well. For me, a hydrating mist just helps my skin look more skin-like in daylight, and I can always go back in with a mattifying powder. So you guys know this is my absolute favorite, especially in the summertime. It's the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. Yesterday, I started to use this again. You guys are the ones who recommended this to me. It's the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores Pressed Powder. So if you just want that airbrushed finish in the T-zone, if you're like me and you have larger pores, this might be a great option. If you're looking for something that's actually going to mattify, I would definitely choose this. So that's what I'm going to use today. Maybe I'll layer both of them. I know that's a little bit extra, but for some reason when you apply like a setting spray and then press this over top, it just melts into the skin and it controls oil, but it doesn't look overdone. You guys already know how much I love this. I am going to put a little bit of this Bye Bye Pores powder just right in the areas that I do have larger pores, right here. For brows, I'm just going to use my Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. I forgot to try to find a dupe for this or something similar from the drugstore. Honestly, this is just super glue basically for your brows. So in the summertime, I like to go for something that I've been using for years and that I can really trust. So this is my go-to for sure. All right, so I think that completes this look. If you're gonna be out and about, I definitely would recommend taking something like this with you because it's gonna really help to control the oils all day if you get oily in the T-zone like me. If you're someone who has dry skin and a lot of your powders start to look powdery through the day, maybe take your setting spray with you and just refresh your face all throughout the day, and that'll really help not only with the longevity of your makeup, but just kind of keeping it looking really light and effortless and feeling light on the skin and feeling hydrated instead of too dry or too powdery. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I will have all the affordable and more high-end options for creating a similar look like this linked down below. This is definitely what I've been gravitating toward when it comes to a more summery kind of a routine. I know it's still very me with the pinks and things like that. I know a lot of people lean more bronze or whatever, but for every day, this is honestly what I've been reaching for. I just want a juicy lip. I want hydrated looking skin and healthy looking skin, and then a pop of color on the cheeks. That's what I've just been really into for summer. I would love to know what you guys are reaching for during summertime. What's in your makeup bag currently, or what are you gravitating towards as far as an aesthetic goes when it comes to summer makeup? I would love to know, so be sure to leave a comment. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie, and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button, and if you're already a subscriber but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, click on the bell after you subscribe and you'll get a notification every single time I post. That's it from me today. I hope you guys have an amazing day wherever you are. Stay safe and stay healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye!